Have you ever dreamed of making monsters? Knowing that makeup and make-believe would be your true calling? Well, the owner of Hourglass Escapes did, and you can ask him any question you would like. Born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Seth has always wanted to make monsters. Starting out in the film industry and working for theme parks in 1988, Seth was truly immersed into his dream come true job. Somewhere along the line between here and there, Seth discovered escape rooms, and his world got so much more exciting. I'll let him tell you his story here on Find Your Escape. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Find Your Escape. I am your host, Amanda Contreras, and I am here with Hourglass Escapes owner, Seth in Seattle, Washington. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing today?
I'm actually really excited to interview you today because there are some really cool things about your location that I'm like dying to dive into. So without further ado, we'll just kind of get into who you are, what you did before this. I know you have like an awesome effects website that I want to talk to you about too. So kind of give me a little bit of who you are, what you did beforehand, and how you got into owning an escape room.
So I started out as a kid going to a camp for where you made movies, and I decided at like 12 or 10 I wanted to make monsters. So I just started getting into the makeup effects and prop building field probably in the early 80s when I was like 12 or 13, and happened to meet the right people and apprenticed under some of the right people and just started honing those skills. Eventually, I was teaching at an art institute at one point, then moved to Orlando, and there I ended up working for Ripley's, believe it or not, doing wax figures.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Yeah, we actually had the secret warehouse, and the secret art studio was where we were at that no one was supposed to know about, and really I don't know if anyone really did.
Right.
And then I started working doing props at prop shops for like places like Disney and Universal and all these other companies, and then eventually moved into Universal as a makeup artist, and then finally into an animatronic and scenic artist, where basically we ran around the theme park in the middle of the night, fixed the scenery and the animatronic skins or made them so it all looked new every day for customers.
Wow, that is super awesome.
Yeah, so I worked on a lot of little TV shows, little films. That's how I made a lot of friends who helped out even with our Evil Dead room. That's how I met Ben Rock. He was the art director for the Blair Witch Project, and I believe he wrote the legend of the Blair Witch that they used in the story. And he's the one who actually filmed some things for our Evil Dead room, and he's kind of a big-time director now in his own right.
Wow, I haven't heard Blair Witch Project since high school, so like that. Woo, I'm old.
So I mean, and then eventually I did medical prosthetics for a few years, and then most recently I worked for a company as a mold maker and sculptor, making fake body parts for surgical simulations and doctors.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I've had a lot of weird jobs.
Yeah, but that's how cool. All from making monsters. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay, how did you go from making prosthetics and helping out doctors to all of a sudden you are owning an escape room? What was your journey? How did you do that?
So about 4-ish years ago, I'm horrible with dates, I went to an escape room, one of the few that existed at the time. There's like 3 in Seattle, maybe 2, and I don't think there was many. There's maybe probably less than 500 in the country at the time. I mean, this is like 4 or 5 years ago. And I went, and it was fun, but it definitely looked kind of homemade. And I don't want it to sound bad. It looked as good as any of the day.
Right, yeah. 2015 was a very intro era, yeah.
Yeah, but still coming from Universal, I wanted it to look more immersive and more like you're less homemade, more refined. And I had a roommate who was a board game designer who designed a pretty well-known game at the time called Damage Report.
Okay, yep.
And I'm like, hey, do you want to help? I have this idea. And the original idea is our Rise of the Mad Pharaoh game. It was going to be portable, where we could take people's houses and set it up in companies. The problem is when we built it, we realized, hey, this is if we had to pay somebody to build it, if I didn't build it myself, it would have been a $50,000 prop. So I'm like, we can't just take it around. So let's not do that. So I just got a couple investors and we started the business, on a pretty small budget with just one game.
Yep. That's how you start out. You
Yeah.
gotta crawl before
And
you
that's
walk.
how it all
Yep.
kind of started, and I haven't stopped working ever since.
That's so great. So are you actually at your original location that you started at?
No,
Because it doesn't sound like, I haven't read your background or anything, but it doesn't sound like that would be, because you have 3 games right now, right?
Yeah, so the big secret at the time is we found this place for like almost nothing a month, including utilities. I mean, car payment level, because it was being torn down. We had a year before it got torn down. So we got in there, we figured, hey, let's just try it. It did really well. I mean, as well as it could for being a single room. And I had a day job and I would like leave work, go to work, run games, work. I mean, I was probably putting in, I could actually 1 game a month. It was really cheap. It was sickeningly cheap. So, and then we moved into this location, opened up a second game. And then now we have a third one, and now it's
And that's all she wrote, and she keeps on writing.
Yeah.
That's super great. Okay, so tell me about your first room, like that you have now, and then how many people, what does it take, and then your second room, and then we'll go into the third room.
Sure. So the first room is Rise of the Mad Pharaoh. It is kind of a campy melodrama theme. We wanted something that's got a bit of a quirky humor to it, and the idea is you're trying to save Dr. Carter from being trapped in the pyramid, and you're talking with him via satellite. So he talks to you in the beginning, and then you have to unravel the mystery of the sarcophagus. And that prop's pretty well known. It gets a lot of love online from players and like reviewers.
Yeah, I have your reviews in front of me, and they love that room. They really do.
The best review I ever got, and it's still from this, I forget which website, and all he does is review rooms. But he said out of all the games, if you could pick one prop to take home, it was that. It was the sarcophagus, and that was
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, considering he'd played a couple hundred rooms at the time. So right now it plays 4 to 14. We do a lot of corporate team building and.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you just say 4 to 14 people?
Yeah, so we scale it. We scale.
Okay, I'm like, it was running over, and in my brain, I like, whoa, wait a minute, that just flew over my head.
So
4 to 14 people.
What we do is from like 10 players plus, we add a few things. They're seamless. They're not meant to be, and we try not to make them as time wasters or fillers. We kind of added an extra gate in the game, so if somebody had it, they would never know, and it's not going to feel like busy work, if it makes sense. We actually add something to the room, and it adds a bit of an extra gate. So when we have bigger groups, sometimes we add it. Depends on the group. If they're corporate team building groups, a lot of times we don't need to. They don't want us to add the extra challenge.
And is that room family friendly? Are any of your rooms family friendly?
Yeah, that room, 2 of our rooms are, I would say, family friendly. That one is for all our games. Well, let me rephrase that. Evil Dead's 13 and up. Rise of the Mad Pharaoh, we recommend 12 and up. However, if a family wants to bring a 10-year-old with them in their family, that's fine.
Right.
Or an 11-year-old.
Viewer discretion, sure.
Tales of the Ghostly Galleon, that is our hardest room, but our silliest room. So you start off with tattoos and pirate hats. You get sworn in a very pun-filled swearing-in ceremony that starts off with, the line, repeat after me, I state your name. And half the group say, I state your name, and half the group say their name. We always tell them that's the wrong thing. It's always the opposite of what they're supposed to do, we tell them. But then that room is very challenging. I would say it's 3 to 8, and 3 is we usually tell people, new players, 5 to 6.
Okay, let's get to your awesome, so excited. Okay, Evil Dead 2. I am not a scary horror person. Like, when I go to the movies, I don't like the scary. I don't like any of that because like my shoulders tense up. I just was never raised that way, and like my mom didn't even let me watch. I mean, like, my mom didn't even let me watch Jason or Halloween. Like,
Okay.
I had that mom. Okay,
Yeah.
So, but I am super excited because I love the fact that I'll just let you tell it.
So I'll say the room is more atmospheric than scary.
Okay.
Because it's not
Atmosphere
a
I
haunted
can
house.
handle. Yeah.
And it's hard to get. I don't get scared by stuff, so it's hard for me to say it's scary. Like
Yeah,
haunted house.
but for a guy
Nothing
who's
like
been
that
naked
scary.
monsters since he was 12, totally different. You know what I mean?
Right.
But scary to me, like I just don't like them jumping out and be like breathing down my neck. Like I'm like,
Right.
you know? Yeah.
There's a couple jump scares and fun things, but they're done in a fun way. The movie's a comedy, so if you know the movie, which I'm not sure if you know it,
I don't know.
It's a comedy.
Okay.
That has like 5,000 gallons of blood.
Oh, okay, gotcha, got it.
So it is very over the top in every way. So it's more of, and they're very proud that it's a bit Three Stooges. So we even have one of my favorite gags in our game is basically it's very Three Stooges. When you go to do something, something is out of reach, but as soon as you back away, it comes in reach. And of course, yeah,
right.
we play with the audience a little bit.
That's good though, because they need to feel like you need to break up the scary to the monotony, and
Yeah. So the way it worked is I had some friends when I opened up, I wrote this game just because I thought it would be like my dream game. Didn't really think much of it. So I outlined the game maybe 4 years ago, and looked into opening this up a couple years ago with somebody else. They had some issues with their company, so we backed off. And then through a friend of mine who writes and directs like major horror films, I asked him, hey, how do you go about this? And he connected me because he had worked with Sam Raimi on a project. And he found out, not through Sam, but through other people who to call. And it just, one thing led to another. And last year, I don't know, last Thanksgiving time, I just decided to reach out, and through friends and some other stuff, I was able to get a hold of him. And like a month later, we were like signing contracts. And so when we got everything going, we got the sets built, we had my buddy who worked on the Blair Witch. I flew him in and a couple actors to be in the game. And then we were able to get Andrea Hayes from Twin Peaks, who, if you know the show, she plays Heidi, the waitress. She's local and she's a friend of mine. So she's one of our characters. She also helped paint, and she's a scenic artist. She does everything. And then our Professor Nobi is a guy named Yuri Lowenthal, who is probably one of the top voice actors for video games and cartoons. He was also in Northern Exposure, I believe.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool deal.
But he's like Peter Parker in the Spider-Man video games. He's been on every cartoon imaginable. I mean, he's like a megastar, and he's friends with our director, who turns out he's a big, amazing, like giant Evil Dead fan. So when we said we're doing Evil Dead 2, he offered to do this one voiceover for us.
How great.
Yeah. So everything came together, and we opened.
Deadline was met?
We opened July 1st, did a press night, which was great. A lot more people showed up than expected, because we didn't even announce it till like 4 days before, just in case. We opened July 1st. Our first game was the 4th of July, and then we closed off a couple more games. So we pre-sold probably like 40 games in May.
Good for you.
For July and August.
Good for you. That's awesome.
We closed things off to give us time. But it turned, with minor adjustments, like we only had
You're always going to have minor adjustments. It doesn't matter how far you plan. You're always going to have those.
Yeah. And we did, a bunch of play tests. But, we're at a 75% win rate. Maybe 30% 30% without clues, maybe 40% without clues. And we're tweaking it. There's a couple more things. If we can get it to like in the 90s, I'd be thrilled.
So what do you guys have next planned for in the near future? I mean, this was only in July. So we're in August. So.
Well, we have some other plans.
Yeah. More escape rooms?
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
I'm not sure what I can say yet. Let's just put it that way.
So, but more entertainment coming. You can say more entertainment coming.
Yeah, I think there is, over the next couple of weeks, we'll be announcing something, maybe two somethings we're hoping, though we've been like waiting to announce those all summer. So it's like, contracts and stuff. But we have a couple new things that we're looking to do. We do have a video game that we are hoping to come out by the end of the year. It's a special phone download escape room based on one of our Tales of the Ghostly Galleon. But that's going to actually be an AR type game, multiplayer. Uh, where the company that we're doing it with, they're just in the middle of so many big projects. They do some pretty big video games, and these are friends of ours, so they're doing this with us directly.
So just keep looking back at your website for future. You guys are gonna post everything on your website, right?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, we have a website, and then we have mailing lists and like stuff, and we'll be making sure everybody on the planet knows.
If people want to get a hold of you or book a room, what website do they go to?
The easiest thing is HourglassEscapes.com.
Okay, and a phone number?
206-718-3705.